As I'm sure you know by now, that big, beautiful piece of shit bill was passed by the Senate. It was a 50-50 tie, so that detestable scumbag J.D. Vance had to cast the tie-breaking vote as president of the Senate. And I'm going to play for you a clip of a senator who is an absolutely loathsome human being. She is the epitome of everything that's wrong, as so many of them are, if we're going to be honest, of everything that's wrong with our government and these members of Congress. Now, the person I'm talking about is Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. She's a Nepo senator. You know, she only got her job because her father was a longtime bigwig politician from Alaska. So this untalented hack just rode daddy's coattails into a U.S. Senate seat. Anyway, she was the holdout vote. And, you know, this bill cuts hundreds of billions of dollars out of Medicaid. And she said that she didn't know if she could support it because of that. And the Republicans got together and inserted language into this bill just for her, just to buy her vote. And it essentially exempts Alaska from these Medicaid cuts. And the language they inserted was something along the lines of that these cuts don't apply to any non-contiguous U.S. states. And since Alaska is up there all by itself, not connected to any other U.S. states, it meets the exemption requirements. And so she, for that reason, said she would vote for this. Now, the clip, let me just tell you real quick what this clip is. She's asked, walking in the hall of, I guess, the Senate office building over there, asked by a reporter, Ryan Nobles of NBC, about her vote and her being bought off, or I forget what the question, I'll play it here in a second. Anyways, he was quoting Senator Rand Paul, who actually opposed the bill and voted against it. And so Rand Paul was not happy. He had some words. And so Ryan Noble quoted Rand Paul for Senator Murkowski and asked her to respond. And here is that clip.
Senator Paul said that that your vote was a bailout for Alaska at the expense of the rest of the country.
Oh my God.
That's what Senator Paul said.
Question was easy.
Senator, we've got the...
I didn't say it, ma'am. I'm just asking for your response.
My response is I have an obligation to the people of the state of Alaska. And I live up to that every single day. I fight for my state's interests, and I make sure that Alaskans are understood. I work hard to take care of a state that has more unique situations, more unique people, and it's just different. And so when people suggest that federal dollars go to one of our 50 states in a, quote, bailout, I find that offensive. I advocated for my state's interests. I will continue to do that, and I will make no excuses for doing that. Do I like this bill? No, because I tried to take care of Alaska's interests. But I know that in many parts of the country, there are Americans that are not going to be advantaged by this bill. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that we moved through an artificial deadline, an artificial timeline to produce something to meet a deadline rather than to actually try to produce the best bill for the country. But when I saw the direction that this is going, you can either say, I don't like it and not try to help my state, or you can roll up your sleeves.
Does this woman not fill you with rage? I'm exceedingly angry listening to this. You could tell I'm really angry because I'm not ranting. My anger level is past the point of ranting. But did you see at the beginning of that clip where she turns and stares him down? What the hell was that about? Was she trying to be a tough guy? I mean, what the hell was that? Or was it a how dare you ask me a question? I'm a United States Senator. How dare you ask me a question? Was it that kind of a stare down? Whatever it was, pissed me off. Then she said this, because minutes essentially after voting for this bill, she then goes on to slam it, to criticize it. And she said, and I wrote this down, quote, "There are Americans that are not going to be advantaged by this bill." That's another way of saying that are going to be completely screwed. They are going to lose their health insurance and the health insurance for their children. You also cut the SNAP program, which means that those families are also going to lose food assistance. So there are going to be children and their parents in this country who have no health insurance and food insecurity now. Not saying they're going to starve, but they're going to be in a bad way. In the United States of America, where we can afford to give tax cuts to billionaires. That's what this is all about. We have to cut food assistance programs and health insurance programs for the neediest people in our society so that we can give massive tax cuts to billionaires. That's what Lisa Murkowski voted for. So spare me your criticisms now, Murkowski. So she said there are Americans that are not going to be advantaged. Now, isn't that putting lipstick on a pig? Not going to be advantaged. Anyway, they're not going to be advantaged by this bill. I don't like that. But yet, you voted for it. With as much sincerity as I can muster, Senator Murkowski, and I know you won't see this, but boy, I wish you would. I say this to you. Fuck you, you piece of shit. This woman then goes on and on about how she looks out for the interests of her state. Oh, there's other people in the country who are going to be not be advantaged. Other people who are going to be screwed because of Senator Lisa Murkowski, because of what she just did. But she doesn't care because she's there to look out for her state, because she's a U.S. senator. That is not her job. Her job is not to try to get benefits for her state and screw everyone else. It is to be a representative from her state to serve in our national government for the best interests of the United States of America and its citizens. That's her job. Not to take what you can get, to brag to your constituents of how much you got them so that they'll vote to re-elect you, because that's what this is about for her. She doesn't give a fuck about the rest of the country. She doesn't give a fuck if there are families and children who go hungry, can't get medical care, or have to go bankrupt because somebody in their family breaks their ankle and they didn't have health insurance. She doesn't care. What it's about for her is her reelection. And here's what she really was up to. She wanted to vote for this bill. She doesn't care about anyone but herself, as most of them in Washington do. She wants to be reelected. She wants to stay there forever. And to do that, she has to vote for this bill, as bad as she knows it is, because her state is a bunch of MAGAs. So she's got to vote for this. She's got to find, she knows how bad it is. She's got to find a reason. She has to have a reason. She's got to come up with a plausible explanation for why she's voting for it. And that's when she got together with her buddies in the Senate and they crafted this reason for her. We're going to give your state a carve out, an exception. That allows her to be able to say, I'm here looking out for my constituents and I had no choice but to vote for it, so I voted for it. But really, what she wanted to do was vote for it so that she can be reelected and not piss off the MAGA morons who live in her state. She didn't want a mean tweet from their cult leader attacking her. She was going to avoid that at all cost. There was no way, and I told you guys a couple of days ago about this. I told you not to get your hopes up. Don't think you have any chance of stopping this. You don't. It seems like we might have a chance because it's a real close vote, but no. Trump will get the votes he needs because at the end of the day, he can threaten enough of them and they're all scared to death. The ones with the guts to oppose Donald Trump have already done it. Everyone else who's wishy-washy has it does not have the stuff it takes, does not have the courage. Lisa Murkowski she's like a Susan Collins type. She wrings her hands in public. She talks about how I don't like this bill, but I don't know what to do. That is someone who will never have the courage to do the right thing. She cares about herself and her reelection, and there was no chance in hell she was gonna vote against Donald Trump's bill. And even if the Senate, her buddies there, did not insert that language to carve out an exception for Alaska, she would have just found another justification for voting for it. She was never not going to vote for this. And if she had any kind of courage, she could have prevented this from passing and she could have held all the cards. This passed because J.D. Vance had to break a tie. If she voted against it, J.D. Vance couldn't have saved it. It could not have passed in its current form. She could have held the cards. She could have demanded changes to it. And they would have had to pass something. But she didn't, because she's a coward. And she got what she wanted. She got her excuse. And she didn't want the spotlight on her anymore. And even if she tried to oppose it and try to use that power to improve the bill, she ran the risk of Donald Trump pulling a Tom Tillis on her and attacking her on Truth Social and saying that he was going to find a primary opponent for her in her next election. She could not take that risk. And coward that she is, she was never going to. She got what she wanted. She did what she was always going to do. And now she'll pretend that she doesn't like it. The truth is, she doesn't give a shit.